Murphysboro, Illinois, a quiet town nestled in the heart of America. In 1973, something happened here, something the locals still whisper about on dark nights. It was the summer when the monster came out of the mud. June 25th, 1973. It was a humid night, the kind where the air feels thick and the woods seem alive. Randy Evans, a mechanic walking home after a late shift, decided to take a shortcut through the trees near the big muddy river. The path was dimly lit by the glow of the moon, and the only sound was the occasional chirp of crickets. Randy had taken this route dozens of times, but tonight something felt off. The air was unnaturally still, and the trees seemed to press in closer than usual. Then he heard it. At first it was faint, a rustling noise, like something moving through the underbrush. Randy stopped, listening. The sound grew louder, heavier, as if whatever was out there was dragging itself through the mud. His heart began to race. He tried to tell himself it was just a deer or a raccoon, but deep down he knew better. That's when he saw the eyes. Two glowing red orbs staring at him from the darkness. They didn't blink, didn't waver. They just stared. Then it stepped into the moonlight, 7 feet tall, covered in dripping mud. Its matted hair clung to its massive frame, and the smell. Randy later described it as death and decay, a stench so foul it made him gag. He froze for a moment, unable to move, unable to breathe. Then the creature let out a low guttural growl, and Randy's instincts took over. He ran. He didn't stop until he burst through the doors of the local diner, his clothes soaked in sweat, his eyes wide with terror. By the next morning, the story was the talk of Murphysboro. Eyewitnesses came forward, each claiming to have seen the same creature, a mud-covered monster with glowing eyes. Some dismissed it as a prank, a case of small-town hysteria. But Rachel Monroe, a journalist for the Murphysboro Gazette, wasn't so sure. Rachel had a reputation for digging into the stories no one else would touch. She wasn't interested in writing fluff pieces or human interest stories. She wanted the truth, no matter how dark or unsettling it might be. And this was her chance to uncover something big. She began by piecing together the accounts, interviewing farmers, campers, and even the local sheriff. Each story painted the same terrifying picture. One farmer described seeing the creature near his barn late one night. "Big as a grizzly," he said, "but not a bear. It just stood there watching me." Another witness, a teenager, recounted a chilling encounter while camping near the river. "We heard this weird sound, like slapping, wet footsteps. When we shined the flashlight, it was just standing there. It smiled at us, but not in a human way." The deeper Rachel dug, the more intrigued and unsettled she became. Every story led back to the woods near the big muddy river, a dense, shadowy stretch of forest that had always been the subject of local legends. Some said the woods were haunted. Others claimed they were cursed. But no one could explain the monster. Determined to find answers, Rachel decided to investigate the woods herself. She packed her flashlight, a camera, and her tape recorder. She planned to enter the forest after dark, when the creature was most likely to appear. Her editor tried to talk her out of it, but Rachel wouldn't be swayed. "I have to know," she said. "I have to see it for myself." It was midnight when Rachel entered the forest. The air was thick and humid, and the ground was soft and wet beneath her boots. She followed a narrow trail that wound its way toward the river, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. At first, the only sounds were her own footsteps and the distant hum of crickets. But as she ventured deeper, the forest grew eerily quiet. Even the insects seemed to stop singing. She turned on her tape recorder and began to narrate her observations. June 28th, 1973. I'm entering the woods near the big muddy river. I've found strange claw marks on the trees, about 7 feet up, and footprints in the mud. Whatever made them is big. As she moved deeper into the forest, the sense of unease grew stronger. The trees seemed to close in around her, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands. Then she heard it. A faint, wet sloshing sound, like something dragging itself through the mud. She froze, her flashlight trembling in her hand. The sound grew louder, closer. Rachel's heart pounded in her chest. She whispered into the recorder, "There's something out here. I can hear it. It's getting closer." The sound of a branch snapping made her whip around. Her flashlight beam landed on it. The creature, massive and dripping with mud, its glowing eyes locked on her. Its jaw twisted into a grotesque grin, and it let out a low, guttural growl. Rachel stumbled back, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. "Oh my God," she whispered. The creature took a step forward, then another. Rachel turned and ran, her flashlight swinging wildly in the darkness. Behind her, she could hear it following, the sound of its heavy footsteps echoing through the trees. The tape recorder captured her frantic breathing, the crunch of leaves underfoot, and the creature's guttural growls. Then there was a scream and silence. Rachel's tape recorder was found the next day, lying in the mud near the river. Her flashlight was broken, her camera smashed. But Rachel was gone. The whispers on the tape sent chills through everyone who heard them. Faint growls, Rachel's panicked breathing, and then a distorted voice. "Leave this place." To this day, no one knows what happened to Rachel Monroe. Some believe the Mud Monster took her. Others think she uncovered something even darker. The woods near the big muddy river remain untouched, a place of whispered legends and unspeakable fear. Over the years, sightings have continued. Hikers report strange footprints. Campers hear growls in the dead of night. And deep in the woods, the air always feels heavy, as if you're being watched. Some legends are born from fear, others from something real. So tell me, would you dare to walk these woods alone? Do you think the Murphysboro Mud Monster is just a story? Or could it still be out there, hiding in the shadows? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling stories, if you're brave enough.